Good morning and good evening, everyone. Warm welcome and thank you for joining us today. So we are here to discuss a topic that gathers a complete update on the European Union and the United States key regulatory updates. So we will be providing with the most current insights and actionable information. Let's get started, shall we? So before we jump in, here's just a quick housekeeping items we need to follow. So all attendees aside from our speakers are muted. So however, we absolutely encourage your engagement through the chat functions or the comment function in the GoToWebinar. The session is being recorded. So if you have opted for that, you will be we will be sharing the post webinar, and your feedback is invaluable. At the end of the webinar, we'll have a brief survey. Your insights will help us refine and improve our future sessions. Please feel free to submit any questions during the webinar or after the webinar through the comments via the chat box. So we will address as many as possible during the Q&A, and remaining questions we will follow up on directly. With that, let's proceed. The next slide. So we operate through four key divisions. I'll quickly go through everything. So compliance, ensuring you meet all regulatory requirements. Engineering, provide innovating designs and solutions. Sourcing, offering access to quality materials and products. And cataloging, streamlining data and information management. So these are four key divisions of API engineering. The next slide. And just let's take a moment to highlight API engineering's deep expertise in chemical compliance, where we are the team of backed by a 100+ dedicated compliance engineers with a wealth of experience in material science and chemical engineering. So ensuring we understand the intricacies of your compliance needs. So we are proud to inform you that we are providing compliance solutions to 12 major OEMs and more than 150+ tier players, demonstrating a broad impact and trusted reputations. We recently celebrated our 25th year anniversary with a dedicated team across API engineering, and we are one of the very few companies that offer both comprehensive services and software solutions on the regulatory compliance. Now let's move on and introduce our today's speaker. It's my pleasure to introduce our expert speaker, Sanjita. So Sanjita is our regulatory ward specialist, and she will be walking us through the latest updates. Sanjita, over to you.
Thanks, Bertra. Thanks for your introduction. So, hello all. In this webinar, we are going to see about two regions regulatory update. The first is Europe regulatory update, and the second is North America regulatory update. So, in Europe regulatory update, we are going to cover about three topics, which is REACH, packaging and packaging waste regulation, restriction of hazardous substances. So firstly, that is EU REACH candidate list update. So 5 entries added to the candidate list on 21 January 2025. So please refer the below table for the 5 added candidate list substances. So the reason for inclusion is, first is toxic for reproduction, and it is persistent, bioaccumulative and toxic, and it is very persistent, very bioaccumulative and toxic. So one substance is updated to the candidate list on 21 January 2025. So the reason for inclusion is endocrine disrupting properties. And one substance is proposed to add to the candidate list, which is N-hexane. So the reason for inclusion is equivalent level of concern having probable serious effects like over neurotoxicity and reproductive risks to human health. And EU REACH restriction list update. Actually, one substance is added to the restriction list on 22nd April 2025. So, which is polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons 50A. So, the reason for inclusion is it is persistent, bioaccumulative, and toxic, and it is very persistent and very bioaccumulative. So, the transition period for this restricted substances from 22nd April 2025 to 21 April 2026. This substance is present more in clay targets for shooting, lubricants, manufacture of dyes, plastics, pesticides, and pharmaceuticals. So the restriction is after 21 April 2025 with a minimum proportion of 0.005%. And ECHA raises concerns over flame retardants environmental impact. The environmental risks for this flame retardants or non-polymeric ABFRs, which is aromatic brominated flame retardants, presents the highest environmental risks due to their ability to leach into the environment. So ECA has identified 5 substances, so recently added candidate list substances, which are all more environmental risk causing agents. So some of the examples are decabromo-diphenyl ether and various polybrominated diphenyl ethers and tetrabromo bisphenol A. So these are some of the examples of aromatic brominated flame retardants, and its major uses and releases are: the highest release occur in the electronics, construction and textile sectors, particularly during waste processing or landfill disposal. And ECA's investigation, which is for available alternatives, are safer alternatives are present, such as polymeric ABFRs and non-combustible materials exist. But however, some alternatives like organophosphate flame retardants may also leach into the environment. So what its concern in regarding waste management is that ECA highlights that poor recycling and waste management practices increase the environmental release of ABFRs. So emphasize the importance of removing problematic additives early in the production chain. And then overall conclusion is this investigation is expected to influence future EU regulations, which may include restrictions on certain flame retardants to reduce environmental harm. And ECA's draft for CORAP list for 2025 evaluation. So target for evaluation is in 2025, 8 substances scheduled for evaluation, including 2 groups of substances. So these 8 substances are listed in the table. Please refer to the table. So following to that, in 2025, 8 substances begin evaluation, and then in 2026, 15 substances targeted for evaluation, and then in 2027, 5 substances are set for evaluation. So for the list of substances, please refer the below mentioned link. And then EU REACH restriction on chromium-6 substances. Recent update in REACH is proposal to remove certain hexavalent chromium substances from organization list and to add it to restriction list with some exemptions for unavoidable uses. And there is a public consultation period starting 18 June 2025, and we can post our comments starting from 18 June 2025. And regarding packaging and packaging waste regulation, this is a roadmap for the year in which the updates are rising. So these are all the years, like Jan 2025 final legal text published, and in August 2026 PFAS restrictions in food content packaging and substance of concern must be minimized in packaging. So like this, similarly in the upcoming years, some of the updates are released. Please refer to this roadmap. And then regarding the new regulation provides the following benefits. The benefits are: it reduces environmental impact through sustainable packaging, and it promotes circular economy principles, and it ensures safer packaging materials for consumers, and it encourages innovation in packaging design, and it aligns with global sustainability goals. So in packaging and packaging waste regulation, there are some of the limits for using PFAS. So by August 12, 2026, food contact packaging must not contain PFAS above these limits. So the limits are mentioned below. And regarding the labeling information, from 12 August 2028, packaging placed on the market shall contain harmonized label with material composition, easily understandable pictograms, compostable details, and share of recycled content and bio-based plastic contents. And the other mandatory markings on the package are substance of concern, QR code, and harmonized color label. And reusable packaging placed on the market from 12 February 2029 shall contain further information on reusability shall be made available through a QR code, and a clear distinguishing of reusable sales packaging from single-use packaging at the point of sale. So this is time for a quick poll. You have 30 seconds time to answer it. 2 seconds more. So I hope that you have all answered the poll question. So regarding a restriction of hazardous substances, actually electrical and electronic components containing lead in a glass or ceramic, which is 7C1 exemption, and high melting temperature tube soliders, which is 7A exemption, are scheduled to expire by December 2026. And lead as an allying element in steel, aluminium, copper, that is 6A, 6B and 6C respectively, are scheduled to expire by 31 December 2026. For split exemptions, the deadline is extended until December 2027. So here, some of the timeline with their exemption period. So November 21, 2025, exemption 39A, which is cadmium selenide, which is used in downshifting semiconductor nanocrystal quantum dots for use in display lighting applications. It is going to expire. And on December 31, 2027, exemption 39B, cadmium used in downshifting semiconductor nanocrystal quantum dots directly deposited on LED semiconductor chips for use in display and projection applications. It is going to expire on December 31, 2027. So from May 28, 2026 until May 28, 2028, new exemptions introduced, which is cadmium and lead in plastic profiles containing mixtures produced from PVC waste. Concentration doesn't exceed 0.1% cadmium and 1.5% lead by weight. So, so far we have seen about Europe region major updates. So now we are going to see about North America regulatory update. Here I have covered some of the major important updates, which is California's Proposition 65, Minnesota PFAS law, PFAS AMARA's law, and then USA federal TSCA. Under USA federal, we are going to cover about TSCA, and then under Canada, we are going to see about PFAS. So the Proposition 65 proposed to changes to short form warnings. There are some recent update in Proposition 65 warning. The short form warning should include at least one chemical name, and toxicity information like cancer, reproductive harm should be mentioned in the label. So this is the new update from this short form warnings, and it has a transition period which is starting from January 1, 2025, and it is going to end on Jan 1, 2028. So after Jan 1, 2028, the new short form warning are going to get implemented. And then this is regarding Proposition 65 additional listing for bisphenol S. So already in December 29, 2023, bisphenol S is listed for female reproductive toxicity, and now in Jan 3, 2025, BPS listed expanded to male reproductive toxicity as per Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment and Developmental and Reproductive Toxicant Identification Committee's confirmation. So here in this slide, we are explained about how male reproductive health is affected by bisphenol S. And then here regarding Proposition 65, vinyl acetate added as a carcinogen. So as of January 3, 2025, vinyl acetate is officially listed as a carcinogen under California's Proposition 65. So the warning requirement for significant exposures will begin on January 3, 2026. So and then the Proposition 65 carcinogen listing process are explained in the second table. So and then next is Proposition 65 fact sheet on nickel and its compound. So the California OEHHA has issued an update, Proposition 65 fact sheet on nickel and nickel compounds. So this revision effective date is from February 2025. So this is that nickel and nickel compounds are listed because of the health risks such as cancer risk and reproductive toxicity. So and then the second, and then another thing is that Minnesota's PFAS ban, this is AMARA's law. So according to this law, below mentioned 11 product categories are targeted to ban the PFAS in them. So in 2025 ban, the products in 11 categories containing intentionally added PFAS is prohibited in Minnesota for sale. And then in 2026 is the reporting requirement, and then in 2032 it is prohibited. Like any product with intentionally added PFAS is prohibited unless the MPCA, which is Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, determines that the use is currently unavoidable. So, and the ban also applies to certain type of packaging associated with the 11 category of products, amplifying its reach across multiple industries. And the certain products are exempt from Amara's law are used products, products regulated by federal law, and firefighting foam and food packaging. So this is the new bans on hazardous solvents under TSCA. So perchloroethylene, which is also called as ECE, and neurotoxic and carcinogenic risk is found from the substance. So the key PCE phase out dates include June 11, 2026, ban on manufacturing and distribution for consumer use. From March 8, 2027, full ban on most industrial and commercial uses. And then another substance is trichloroethylene, TCE, a persistent health hazard. So key TCE phase out dates include March 17, 2025. Ban on all manufacturing of TCE. So from September 15, 2025, prohibition on most industrial and commercial uses of TCE. And from 2033, specialized applications such as TCE used for lithium battery production or refrigerant manufacturing. So here, US EPA adds 9 PFAS to toxic release inventory. So here the reporting requirement is facilities affected by these new additions must begin tracking their activities involving these PFAS as of January 1, 2025. So the reporting deadline is due by July 1, 2025. So this 9 newly added PFAS joined at the 196 previously listed PFAS on the TRI, continuing the EPA's effort to classify all PFAS as chemicals of special concern. So the 9 PFAS added to the TRI inventory is listed in the table. So here is the regulatory freeze pending review, delays PFAS rule implementation. So actually implementing statutory addition of certain per and polyfluoroalkyl substances to toxic release inventory beginning with reporting year 2025. So the original effective date is February 5, 2025. So the delayed effective date is March 21, 2025. And here EPA delays PFAS reporting under TSCA 8A7. So the original reporting window to be started by July 2025. So the new, postponed reporting window is manufacturers and importers should report from April 13, 2026 to October 13, 2026. And the small manufacturers importing PFAS articles reporting period is from April 13, 2026 to April 13, 2027. And this is time for a quick poll. You have 30 seconds to answer the question. Two more seconds. So I hope that you all answered the questions. We'll continue the presentation. So this is regarding Canadian Environmental Protection Act. So actually class-based regulation adapted. Actually Canada is regulating PFAS as a class, recognizing that the risks identified for well-studied PFAS apply broadly to others in the group. Actually, Based on PFAS report collected, Canada government released a state-of-art report on March 5, 2025. So the regulatory proposal include the government proposes adding PFAS excluding fluoropolymers to Part 2 of Schedule 1 of SIPA, enabling targeted and phased risk management. And fluoropolymers excluded for now. Due to differing exposure and hazard profiles, fluoropolymers are excluded from current action but remain under ongoing scientific review. So here is a phased regulatory strategy. So phase 1 starting in 2025. It regulates PFAS in firefighting forms due to high environmental and human exposure risks. And the phase 2 is restrict PFAS in consumer products with safer alternatives. And textiles, cosmetics, key waxes, building materials, and food packaging. And in phase 3, further evaluation of PFAS uses in other sectors through stakeholder engagement and impact assessment. And here is a public consultation period starting from March 8 to May 7, 2025. So the National Pollutant Release Inventory NPRI update is beginning in 2025, 163 PFAS substances will be added to the NPRI. And the reporting threshold is companies must report PFAS use, processing or manufacturing when exceeding 1 kg per year. So this is the reporting threshold. So that's all, I think, and I hand over the session to Pavitra.
Thank you, Sanjita. Thank you for a quick updates on the EU and United States of the latest regulatory changes. And as you have seen here, the AP is committed to simplifying and strengthening our compliance journey. So from keeping you informed about the latest regulations to consolidating product data and supporting vendor engagement, we are with you every step of the way. So with powerful inbuilt tools like AP Green Check for non-automotive compliance, Autogen CM for conflict minerals, ESG HQ for sustainability tracking, and MDS Express for IMDS reporting, and more tailored software solutions, we make it easier for you to stay compliant, efficient, and future ready. So let's work together to turn regulatory demands into strategic advantages with APA. Next slide. So before we wrap up, I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. So we hope you found the webinar informative. If you have any questions related to the webinar, what are the updates or any other query, please reach out to us at compliance@apengineering.com.